guys have done it again, introducing Coley AI. It's just as simple as you typing in something and the creation comes to life right before your eyes. And look, it's available to you right now. Click the link at the top line of the description box right now. This is the most amazing app ever. Try it now.
Out for the greatest rapper.
Special guest on today to talk about the recent Diddy RICO case. Attorney Ikiesha Al-Shabazz is back in the building for round number 4. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Yes. What's good? It's a lot happening.
Oh,
a
my
lot
goodness.
happening.
Oh my goodness, it's a lot.
I
going
know.
on. And we talked about this maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and you were one of the
Yes.
people that predicted. You said that he would be indicted.
Mhm.
So talk about that. You know, it finally happened. He's been indicted, but it's in New York, out of all places.
Yes.
Break that down if
Yes.
you can.
So he's been indicted here in New York in the Southern District, which is the same agency that was behind the warrant execution that happened in March. And so I believe since that time, they have been building this case, investigating the sentencing memorandum, or not sentencing, the detention letter indicates that they sent upward of 300 subpoenas. They interviewed 50 witnesses and or victims. And so that is how we got to have this indictment. So we're
Right.
at a 3-count indictment where he is facing mandatory minimums in these counts, mandatory minimums of 15 years on each count. So in effect, he's facing life. He's facing life.
So why not, if they're saying a lot of this stuff happened in like Florida and California, why not in those states?
They could prosecute him in those states as well, right?
Oh,
But
okay.
oh yeah, well, every state has its own jurisdiction, has its own sovereign jurisdiction, and they could choose, just like you saw Harvey Weinstein prosecuted both in New York State and also in California State. So there's nothing precluding their prosecution. But why would they go through the expenditure of bringing forth a prosecution while this is happening, right? So if any other state is interested in prosecuting, right, then they will wait to see how this plays out.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Now some of the details are pretty disturbing.
They are. So you got a little censorship here? Not censor, but
No.
trigger warning.
No, you get into it, but
Okay.
they're pretty much accusing this dude of being a monster.
Yeah.
Nothing short of a monster, forcing men and women to do
Yes.
sexual acts. You know, again, how do you gather evidence besides somebody just saying something? What type of evidence could you have besides just words, somebody eyewitness account?
Yeah, well, this person, because he's a narcissist and it was his desire to have evidence to use against the people who participated in these acts, he stored a lot of video evidence. And in March 2024, when they hit the door and they executed those warrants, they got a lot of video evidence. So not only do they have the video evidence that he kept, they have video evidence from other witnesses who were there, so they got people who were there who witnesses. They're going to come testify, and they also have what those people will come say. They will have that stuff testify, the testimony corroborated by video evidence, right? Because what did he say when Cassie filed the lawsuit? All of these allegations are untrue. And then when the video dropped, he's like, oh, I was in a dark place.
Right.
So he's always going to deny until he's forced to admit.
Right.
So that's where we are. So
Now
they have video.
Right. Wow. So they put I thought it was kind of strange that he offered $50 million a bail package to give everybody's. Why would you? Is that typical? Or do you wait for the feds to give you an offer? Do you say, I'll give you 50 million? Let me get out.
I don't know the experience levels. I don't want to cast aspersions on any other lawyers, but that was the most pathetic bail package I have ever seen.
Wow.
Ever seen. And I think the government didn't even take them seriously. Like you playing in my face, right? Because think about this. As part of this enterprise, everything, all the proceeds that you have made in the course of the past 15 years or so, since 2008, all of the proceeds are subject to forfeiture, which would include the house you're trying to put up. So the government is like, wait a minute, you want to put up the house that we about to get anyway?
Wow.
How is that any moral suasion for you to come back to court? How is that house that you're about to lose going to be the thing that gets you to come back to court? It's not.
Right.
You don't care about that house.
Mm.
And it didn't address any of the issues that he has. They didn't say, you know what, he's going to be in anger management. Which he should have already did. If you were so speculative that you knew this was coming, that your lawyers told you to move to New York and sell this property so you could put this house up, why didn't you go into a drug program? Why didn't you go into anger management? Why didn't you deal with those issues? Why didn't your bail package also include what we call having someone sign a personal recognizance bond? That means that your family members are on the hook. But no, instead, you did this performative bullshit with the passports. My family members surrendered the passports. They didn't surrender shit. They gave those passports to your lawyer.
Right.
That's not surrendering passports. That's like, you hold on to these so we can make it look like, we surrendered the passport, and just use the term surrender. Don't play semantics. The government is not stupid. They're not impressed by that. So no, your $50 million house, that was a joke because you have cash. Why didn't you offer to put up cash?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you do that? The government said you had $1 million on deck. Wow. That's your walk around pocket money.
Wow.
Right? So who gives a fuck that you surrendered your passport? You have you got a private plane, bro.
Yeah.
You're like, really? You surrendered your passport. Nobody's stupid.
Right.
Nobody's stupid, which is why his bail package failed. It should have been tight. It should have been, you know what? We ain't gonna have he won't have access to the internet, right? He will have limited communication with third parties. There will only be a handful of people that he will be able to access. He won't be able to leave his house for any reason except to see the doctor and his attorney. Like, this is a bail package. Make people feel secure that if you release this person, he will be controlled. But y'all didn't do that. Y'all didn't do that.
Right.
Y'all didn't do that. And you know what? Everyone is presumed innocent. And as much as I can't stand this motherfucker, everyone is entitled to a zealous defense.
Right. Right.
And he was entitled to that, and I don't think he got it. Unfortunately or unfortunately. You know what I mean?
Right. Now the bail, are they going to try to go to a higher court to try to,
Yeah, no, they're going to stay in the same court, but they're going to go to a higher judge. So the judge that decided his detention hearing yesterday was a magistrate judge. So this now will go to what's called a district court judge. So there won't be any change in the bail circumstances because your package isn't any different, one. And the judge who decided the detention motion did so based on the evidence that was before her. There was no abuse of discretion. This wasn't an arbitrary and capricious decision. She didn't just out of nowhere say, you know what, granted. She gave it due consideration. And there is no change in circumstances from yesterday to today.
Wow.
Right? So why would the judge disturb that opinion?
So you pretty much saying that they should have already been proactive and getting them into rehab, getting them into anger management.
Exactly, because those are the issues that he has. You have a violence issue. You have a impulse control issue. You need to be in therapy. You need to be addressing these issues. You simply saying, I'm going to put up my house and then be on. And matter of fact, what they said was he would be on house arrest and he'd be traveling between his two houses in Miami and in LA or Miami and New York or what. No. No, that's not going to make the government feel comfortable. This dude flying around about the country. I don't think so. You know what I mean? Hey, he hired those guys.
Yeah.
And that's what you got for your money. That's what you got for your money. There are plenty of capable attorneys in New York who could have did a better job. And I know law students who could have did a better job on a bail package than what I saw.
Right. Now let's talk about the court of public opinion, because a lot of people, already they did a great job of kind of smearing his image.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They leaked that video.
Yeah. That was the final nail right there.
In my opinion, they leaked that video. I don't want no smoke.
Right. How much did that weigh? I know we asked you that before about other trials. How much does that kind of weigh? And even like witnesses that are going to, I mean, not witnesses, jurors that are going to be in that trial. You kind of already got this image of this dude being a straight demon, a monster.
Yeah,
that has to weigh. I don't, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what the judge says. You know, you got to follow these rules. This, you're going to have that perception in your mind before you even go to the jury box. So how much does that weigh in your opinion?
You'd be surprised how many people have not seen that video.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There are a lot of people who haven't seen it, that don't know what's going on with this Sean Combs guy. This is all breaking news to them. They're all like, what? Oh my God. I didn't know. Right? A lot of the free Diddy people, they are not fully versed in what the allegations are, how many civil lawsuits there are. You know, they and so, you know, it's cognitive dissonance at some point in some regards with some people. It's the same thing we see with the free R. Kelly people.
Right.
You know, and to turn this into the whatabouts. What about Charlie Sheen and what about and yeah, okay, but what about all of the Black women, you know, that are in the wake of this enterprise, as the government calls it, since 2008. 2008. That you were forced to participate in a sexual act for days, so much so that you need IV replenishment. That's fucking crazy. Peace, brother.
Hey, Attorney Shabazz, how you doing? Sorry for the tardiness. We're sitting there finishing up another thing, and I was trying to listen as best as I can. How you doing?
I'm good.
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 Go ahead. You go ahead. Let me just catch up with you.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. At the end of the day, the baby lotion thing, baby oil.
Yeah. The supplies. I like to call them the supplies for the freak offs, right? The supply, because this is as the government paints it, right? If we accept their narrative, is that these were highly orchestrated performances, right? So things were staged. There was people who were charged with stocking the rooms to make sure all the requisite needs were there. There were people charged with coming to clean the rooms after the freak-offs to minimize any damage that was done to the room. All of these people are accomplices. All of them. And people need to understand, it does not matter how much or how little you do in a conspiracy. You in for a penny, you are in for a pound.
So how much of this is just the government building a case embellishment as opposed to, you know, it really being like, is he just throwing a party that people know about, or just some big enterprise? They're making it, because I know their job is to make it seem like it's a criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, is this more of a criminal enterprise, or this a freak sex Hollywood party?
I think it's may have started out as some freaky, sexy Hollywood parties, and it turned into an enterprise. It turned into a production, right? Where we have people who are charged with getting the drugs, people that are charged with getting the girls, people that are charged with getting the commercial sex workers, people charged with transportation, people charged with booking hotel rooms, people charged with stocking hotel rooms, people charged with cleaning hotel rooms after, people charged with supplying with IV fluids. Come on. This takes extraordinary coordination, right? And the evidence that they have includes bank records, not just cell phone tower receipts and things of that nature, but also hotel receipts, car transportation receipts. So they are building this. They've been building this so that they can sell it this way, and they have the evidence. They have the receipts to support it.
Right. Now, I'll be honest with you. You sound like a prosecutor there.
Yeah, well, listen. I can do both. I can do all things. Yeah. You know, I can do all things. But listen, the best defense attorneys are the ones that have an eye for the prosecution.
Right.
Because I'm going to see you before you're coming. I know exactly how you're going to move. I know, you know what I mean? So I knew if I was representing this guy, the type of bail package that you would have to present to even have a shot at this, because this type of crime carries with it the presumption of detention, which means that if you don't overcome that presumption, then you must be detained. And that presumption of detention, there is two phases. One is there's a presumption that you are dangerous to the community. And then the second is that you're a flight risk. So you have to establish and prove to the court that, one, you're not going to be a threat or a danger to the community or witnesses that the government might be calling, because that was one of the allegations. He'd been using third parties to call witnesses that had been subpoenaed. They're under subpoena. So that's obstruction. You know what I mean? So those, some of the things that I would have made sure were addressed, they weren't. This case is so troubling. It's so troubling because there has to be a lot of people in place that haven't been touched or spoken about who let this happen.
Now, Diddy
facilitated this. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Please do. Now, Diddy, it's according to his lawyer, he went back to New York. He was obviously maybe expecting this situation. Is this an extreme case of arrogance on Diddy's part, or does he genuinely think that in him cooperating, he was going to be able to go ahead and place bail, get out, and kind of live his life normally as his trial proceeds? And do you think he's going to get out in your opinion? I'm sorry if you already answered that question in your opinion.
No, we haven't. But let me just say, the whole his lawyer talking about he moved back to New York 2 weeks in advance because he knew this was coming. That is wholly performative. It's performative. You only did that so that you could make the argument to the court that he did that. You know what I mean? So it's performative. It doesn't have any teeth. It doesn't have any value. And it doesn't speak to whether or not you're a flight risk, whether or not you're going to return to court, or whether or not you're going to continue to obstruct justice. None of those things are addressed in your bail package. And that's part of the problem. The other thing is his lawyer uses words like surrender and cooperating very loosely. In the legal field, the term cooperating has a significant legal meaning. That means that the government is sitting down with you and using you as a part of their case in chief. He is not cooperating with them. Now, he may have been compliant, right? And the things that they may have requested or things of that nature, but you're not cooperating. If anything, your lawyer should have had a conversation with the government so that you all could have had some kind of meeting of the minds, or you could get an understanding of what the government might consider a decent bail package that they would not object to. But that didn't happen because you showed up with the $50 million house that they already was going to take. And they was like, oh, you are so unserious with this bullshit. You know what I mean? That was the way the people that were in the courtroom, that is the way I heard the government's impression of their bail package was. Like, you can't be, you joking. This house, you can't be serious.
Right. So why now, if this has been going on for all these different years? Was it something that triggered this investigation?
Yeah.
In your opinion, and even the Cassie situation, they said she's going to be a witness as well. Would you say it's her?
I think her lawsuit triggered the attention that was required, and because it was an actual legal process. Now, we've always heard conjecture, rumors, speculation, right? We've never seen any specific details and allegations in the way in which they were laid out in that civil complaint. And it had to get the attention of the federal authorities. It had to, because within the complaint, whoever the lawyer is, and I don't remember, he's brilliant or she's brilliant, because in that complaint, they outlined that the activity that was being engaged in was in fact sex trafficking. They were waving that in front of the federal government. Like, I dare you not do something. I dare you not investigate this guy. You cannot turn a blind eye now. Everyone is looking. And so I think that that was the precipitous. I think that gave a lot of other people courage to come forward and tell their story. And I think that that sparked the investigation that the government, listen, they set it off. They didn't rush to the grand jury. We haven't got, they did the search warrant back in March of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know that they got 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers back in March. We just learned that yesterday or day before yesterday, whenever the indictment was unsealed, right?
Right.
We just learned that. I think that this indictment is only the first. What we will see is a superseding indictment, which will have probably a great deal more counts. Because this one is only 13 counts. And I think this was just, let's just get this out there, get the process started, get the ball rolling, and then we'll come back and supersede this indictment at a later time.
Will we see other names be brought up? Because I know you were speaking about there were other parties involved. If you have this type of situation going on, there has to be other parties involved. But we haven't heard any other names yet. And we've talked to a number of other people, and they seem to believe that there's certain names being protected right now under fear that there could be some names very damaging in some of these situations that could further affect others, powerful, more influential things going on in the world. The election and things like that. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think that there's a real danger that this man doesn't make it to trial for that very reason.
What do you mean by that?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
So, man. So let me ask you this. Let me because Diddy is innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely, he is presumed. He is presumed innocent. Absolutely.
Right. And due process has to take place. But in our opinion, is this done? Is this over? Because it seems like in the court of public opinion, this dude is already buried under the jail. Yeah. And like you just alluded to, it may be some things outside of all of our imaginations, some serious things going on that we aren't privy to even know about. So is this trial or is this situation with Diddy done before it even started, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's done. And I don't think that the evidence, I don't think anybody wants to have a public trial with the evidence that they recovered at that mansion.
Damn.
I do not. And I don't know if there's any correlation to all of the people that are stepping down all over the record world, the music industry today. Folks, it's like, I'm out. Because the federal government, they need to check how many people are Googling which states have a have reciprocity with New York or extradition treaties. With the United States, because folks are planning their escape.
Yeah, them parties were packed.
Yeah,
it was a lot of people in the parties. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. And they got 30 thumb drives.
Whew.
Right, 30 drives.
Oh God,
that's how much video evidence they have. And it was this thing to record it all. And some of the descriptions sound like it comes from having watched some of that, right? Because they talk about the freak-offs and what his participation was in the freak-offs. Yeah, and it's disturbing, as a former prosecutor, they got to watch those videos.
Yeah.
They got to watch them. That's horrible.
Right.
That's horrible. That part.
Yeah, I got to ask you this. If you knew that he was done, I'm sure his attorneys had to know that he was done. Why didn't he just run? Why didn't he do the Russell Simmons thing and get on the jet, take his bags of money, just be out? Why not?
Yeah.
I would have been out.
Great question.
I'm sorry.
Honestly.
If I had the money like that, I'm gone. I'm not going to sit and let,
innocent or guilty. I think I'm out.
Pride and ego before the fall. Pride and ego before the fall. You know what I mean? And there is always a danger when there is a defendant who has beat trial before.
Okay.
Right? Because they have this false sense of security because they've won before that they can win again.
Right.
So that could be some of it. I really don't know. You know what I mean? Aside from maybe he was taking the advice of his attorneys to come to New York and surrender yourself to these people, and it was going to work out. Like I don't know.
Mm.
I because one of the things that I've said, and I say again, I really hope that they prepared him for the reality that he would not be getting bail, and I don't think that they did.
It don't look like it. Don't seem like
No,
it.
it doesn't seem like it. And from people that went in the courtroom, when the judge said that, bail denied, his eyes got wide. Well, at least that's what was reported to me.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, yeah, yeah. So maybe he didn't understand the reality. He thought that maybe he would be able to stay out while the trial, was pending. And they may have sold him that dream, that fantasy, and I bet you he is pissed right now that they were wrong.
Money can't save him.
Oh.
No, not
Now-
this time.
Now, correct us, or correct me if I'm wrong. The last time we spoke, I think you were very critical of his legal team.
I'm always critical of legal teams. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what would you say? I mean, from listening to you, it doesn't sound like you're too impressed on what they got going on now. It doesn't sound like they got their ducks in order at all. And when you are the defense in a federal case, if your ducks aren't in order, your defendant is good as done. You're done.
It's done. It's over.
It's
over.
I don't even know I don't even know question I'm asking. I'm just kind of.
We talked. I think we talked about it a little bit before you came. We talked a little bit about the bail package that they presented and how woefully insufficient it was. And so, that is the second instance of, I don't want to say ineffective assistance, but, deficiencies, I should say, in his defense. The first was the statement that was made by the lawyer, like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. We tell our clients to shut the fuck up. And then you want to talk? You want to shut the fuck up. Why are you making statements? It's not helpful. It's not helpful. All you need to, and then you're making the wrong statements. My client is innocent. That's not the statement you make. You don't need to prove that he's innocent. He doesn't need to prove that he's innocent. They need to prove he's guilty.
Right. There you go.
Okay. And if he's not guilty, that doesn't mean he's innocent. Right. So stop with that. Just say, my client looks forward to his day in court. My client maintains his innocence, or my client maintains, that he's not guilty. That's it. And then try your case. Let it come to you, though. Don't get in front of it.
Is there any, you kind of spoke on it earlier that he might be cooperating. Is there any chance of Diddy cooperating, maybe giving him information on something that could lessen his time? Maybe he knows something about something. I don't know.
There's always a chance that you can cooperate. It depends on the value of your information.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's always an opportunity for you to earn you a 5K down with departure letter, which is what you get when you are a successful cooperator. Right. That's always an option. And it depends on what type of information he may have and what it may lead to. Right. Because it's got to be actionable information, something they can use. Don't just tell me shit that I can't do nothing with. Right. It's got to be actionable information that they can actually use that will produce arrest and convictions.
On the flip side, if we go back to that and there are people in power, it goes back to what you said a few minutes ago. Are they going to let that get out?
Exactly.
Lord, man, this
exactly.
is crazy.
And the fact that he's in, the fact that he wasn't released on bail, that only puts more pressure on him to possibly consider cooperating.
Yeah.
Because whoever you are protecting, they have not come to save you.
Now, we've seen all these parties. We've seen some of the participants, not necessarily the free calls, but the Rock Nation brunches. And you would see them around like people like Jay-Z, Kevin Hart, all these different people. Yeah. Right now, everybody's dead silent.
Quiet.
In particular, Jay-Z. I mean, they was thick as thieves. They was right, like me and him, right hand man. Like, what's up with Jay-Z? I know you had to be at one or two of them things.
Listen, the government doesn't paint with a broad brush, but all I can say is if this trial if this case goes to trial and these videos are public, are made public, we might learn a whole lot more about a whole lot of people.
No
So
mistake.
so I don't know. It remains to be seen.
Yeah,
Everything right now is up for grabs. Everything is on the table.
right.
I want to say everything and everyone is on the table. You know what I mean? There is no one who is beyond the pale. There's no one who was like, nah, not him. No, yes, you too, motherfucker. You might be on deck too. We'll see.
Now, when, because I know sometimes when information starts getting passed, it gets leaked. When will we get privy? You know, is it going to be before the trial? When will we get privy to some of the information that they found in those tapes and different things? Because something's going to leak at some point.
Right.
When do you think that's going to happen as far as like information being exchanged between the two sides?
You know, well, that's typically should be happening now, right?
Okay.
The government should be providing his defense team with, I'm sure, troves of discovery. I'm sure that's going to be a process in which they are going to be delivering discovery in both physical form and in electronic format. And so it's going to take a process. Some of that in that process, you know, is handled by a number of different people, you know, aides, paralegals, and that's where the leaks happen. All right. Yeah. Typically, that's where the leaks happen. So we'll see. Give it a couple weeks. Give it a couple weeks or so. You know, hopefully that doesn't happen though, because these are sensitive videos. These are sensitive videos, and you know, there are people whose livelihoods and reputation could be affected, you know, by their release. So, you know, and not to mention that the trial could be affected, you know, and to the point where the defense might seek a change of venue, right? Because he can't get a fair trial in New York now because of all of these leaks and things of that nature. So there's a long way to go, So we're going to be here for a minute. This case will probably get to trial and be over before the YSL trial is over.
Right.
This RICO trial will be over before that RICO trial. And that's sad.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It gives me chills listening to you talk, because we've had you on 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
Every time you come on here and say something, people, oh, this is crazy. In a couple months.
Yeah. I know they stay coming for me, right? They stay coming and they come for me, and I'm like, okay.
And then
I think it's more positive than negative, though.
It's on our end. It's definitely. Well, I wouldn't know what you get on your end, but people definitely they agreeing with you on our end. But it's just to listening to it and then distributing it and then it coming to fruition. Like, you the first person I thought about 2 days ago when he got arrested. I'm like, I said that on our platform in March. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, man. Crazy. I'm not happy that, you know, I'm right about these things.
Right.
You know, but this is training and experience, and I'm divorced emotionally. You know, I need people to understand that. I think that's what sometimes there's a disconnect. I don't have a feeling about this. This is my profession. Yeah. I'm objective when I'm talking about these things. This is based on my training as a prosecutor, my experience as a criminal defense attorney, my experience as a law school professor, right? So all of these things come to bear on how I view cases. My experience growing up in the hood, you know what I mean? That makes my perspective and my vision unique, I think. So all of those things come to bear when we talk about these cases. And I want to arm our people with information. That is always my goal, right? I'm an informationalist, and you can disagree, but it's factual. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So disagree with your mama.
Now, is New York one of those places where we'll be able to see this on TV, like the YSL trial, or is it
No cameras in federal court.
This is must-see TV right here.
Yeah, no. But I definitely will be up there. I will be up there. At least a couple times a week, just to see the proceedings, see how they're going, because I don't trust the journalists. Right. I don't trust that they're going to report it accurately. I don't trust that they are going to have the wherewithal to know the import of what the evidence means, of what objections mean, of what you know, what objections were overruled and what objections was sustained. I don't know if they're going to be able to see what the prosecution was trying to establish with that line of questioning. I need to be there myself, right? So I can make those assessments and bring it back to the people.
Smart.
You know?
Yeah, well, if you do, you know, you're welcome to come on and give us updates.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. You know, definitely. I'm gonna pull up. You know, I'm gonna pull
Right.
up. For sure.
There's a couple more questions we'll get you out of here. Do you feel like he can get a fair trial in New York City?
Yeah.
City.
I think he can get a fair trial. You know, that is a function, again, of how well your defense attorney asks questions during the process that we call voir dire or voir dire, right? Depending on how you want to pronounce it, which is the questioning of prospective jurors, right? And so you have to be very specific and making sure that the court addresses that this is a press case, right? And making sure that jurors know that they don't have to be on this jury, that there's no requirement that you be here, right? And making sure that you pick jurors who understand that they have to put anything to the side that they have already heard about this case and decide this case on the evidence that comes in the courtroom. There are many people who can do that. There are many people who can do that and do it well. So I don't think that he will have a problem getting a fair trial. I just think that his lawyers need to make sure that they do a good job with voir dire.
Now, when searching for the right juror, is it race specific, or you look at somebody and say, "Oh, this dude's from the hood. He's probably gonna." Is that play a factor, or is it just mainly just talking to him and getting their line of questioning?
Yeah,
both,
you need
maybe?
to. Yeah, no. This particular case, because it's a sex crimes case, that tends to neutralize race. Right. This is not a case that involves the police. This is not a case that involves law enforcement credibility and trust issues, you know, things that you would appeal to demographics in a jury. This is not that case. You know what I mean? So it won't come down to that. You want to look for people who don't have a history of sexual abuse. Right. And that's even difficult, because even if you haven't been abused, you might know someone. Right. And you might not even be aware of how triggering that is until you sit in a courtroom and you actually hear some of those allegations. Right. And so you have to make sure you ask these questions of these jurors so that they become aware of their own implicit biases. Right. That way you can get them off the jury for cause. Right. Without using any of your challenges.
Now, how do they usually pick jury? I mean, it's not you got a jury duty notice. Oh shit, I'm in a Diddy trial. Like, how do they pick these jurors?
Yeah, so it's by geographic. So this is the Southern District. So it's by geography. So this is Manhattan. So these are residents of Manhattan and Westchester, I want to say.
Okay.
Southern District. Where else are they? Where else are they coming from? But they're going to be conservative jurors in this particular district. If you contrast that with the Eastern District, which is in Brooklyn, right, which gets jurors from Brooklyn and Long Island, which tend to be more of a mix of conservative and moderate liberal jurors. In Brooklyn, you're going to get liberal jurors, right? But in Southern District, you're going to get more conservative jurors. And so they're going to be very serious. They're going to consider this evidence very seriously. They're going to take their jobs extremely seriously. They're going to consider and weigh the evidence, I think, fairly. So I don't think that there's any particular juror that you're looking for in this type of case. Again, it's more of the jurors that you don't want.
Right.
You know, you don't want. I wouldn't pick nurses, people in the medical field. I don't want anyone who has any specialized medical education, right? Because that juror might tell other jurors things about the effects of these drugs on these people, and you know what I mean? Like I don't want that. I don't want anyone who has that expertise that they might introduce things into the jury that I don't want to be there, or into the minds of the jurors. So, and that's just, just thinking about this off top. Obviously, if this was my case, I would sit down and, seriously give some due consideration to the types of jurors that we are actually seeking, and the ones that we actually are trying to keep out. I would be careful about the types of women that I would put on this jury, because obviously the victims are women, right? So obviously you can't exclude all women, but you definitely don't want to put on a Gloria Steinem. You don't want somebody like that who's like, anything you do to women is wrong, it's bad. Oh yeah, you don't want one of those, like, so.
And my last question would be: the witnesses in the case, were they being like a WITSEC program, a witness protection throughout the duration and even after, or no?
No.
Okay.
Unless they need it. I mean, it's always available to them. It's
Right.
available, but so far I haven't seen any indication of that. It's like I said, it's available if witnesses need it, but I doubt that.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean that's going to stay that way, right? Developments could change. If it comes out that there are third parties contacting witnesses on his behalf, then they very well could move witnesses into some sort of protective custody or witness protection, something like that.
I actually have one more. Sorry about that.
Sure, that's fine. You can have all the questions you want. I got time today.
Yeah, his sons, man. It was one instance where I think we even talked to you about it. His son was brought up on a particular, I think, allegation.
Right.
How come you don't think they're involved in this RICO, or maybe what they be involved later?
I didn't say I didn't think they was involved in this RICO.
Okay. Oh man. So what's your thoughts on that, though?
Like I said, everybody's on the table. Everybody's on the table, because this indictment is broad and sweeping, and so it encompasses all of Sean Combs's businesses as labeled collectively the enterprise. So that's Bad Boy, that's not the record company, the television production company, that's the marketing company, the liquor company. All of his businesses, they say, were part and parcel of this enterprise. And so anyone who worked for those businesses could be on deck, right, as a co-conspirator.
Wow.
Right, because we know the indictment says there are co-conspirators known and unknown. Right. So as per the U.S. Attorney's press conference yesterday, this investigation is still ongoing. It is still developing. Right. And I think that they have another very powerful indictment waiting in the wings. I don't know. I just feel these things. Yeah. Super Cedar.
We definitely appreciate your time, Attorney Al-Shabazz, on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast, as we always do. You always come with a wealth of knowledge and make us think on a different spectrum, and we definitely appreciate that. Let the people know where they can find you, where they can follow your information as we go along in the Diddy cases and more. We always appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure coming to build on this platform. You can reach me at Ike Speaks, IKIE Speaks, on all platforms around the universe, and on YouTube as well here. All right.
Appreciate you. Thank you once again.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Peace.
Always.
Peace.